All right, so first things first, my name's Steven. I'm an application engineer with Modern Tech, and I just kind of want to give you a little background of me. I grew up in the Northeast, went to school, studied engineering and international affairs. I lived in Germany for a little while, and then DC for a little while. I was a tour guide, worked for the Department of Defense on the Naval Research Lab, and then I moved to Orlando to work for Modern Tech, where I'm our composer specialist, our sim specialist, our director of technical marketing, head of our online training, and this is my third SolidWorks World presentation. First one on Composer. So, if you guys have any questions at all, just shout them out. I don't mind keeping this kind of informal. But if you do ask questions, make sure I know the answer to them because I'm trying to look good up here. So. All right, so first things first, I want to just point this out. 3D via Composer is the old name of this product. It's now SolidWorks Composer. It was rebranded. As SolidWorks Composer here with SolidWorks 2013. So is anyone still using 3D via Composer, or is everyone up to SolidWorks? You are? Okay. So it's pretty much nothing more than really a name change. They wanted to go with the SolidWorks brand. It was on different release cycles. It was kind of a pain in the butt, so they now I'll have it managed by the same SNL server, the same release cycle, and the SolidWorks brand. So what is Composer? Well, it's important to point out what Composer is not. Right? It's not the Microsoft snipping tool for screen captures. It's not Internet Explorer. It's not an Adobe product. It's no TechSmith product like Snagit or Jing. How many people use these products here? The one in the center, Jing? Anybody use that? Okay. I'm just pointing this out because it's probably one of my favorite products. It's a free screen capture and free screen recording application. You can take a quick snag. It's basically free Snagit and free Camtasia by TechSmith. It's their free version of that. So it's a great application to have on your machine. You can quickly edit things, draw text boxes. It's called Jing, J-I-N-G. So it's basically free Camtasia and free Snagit. It's pretty cool. It's not any of these Microsoft products, okay? So what is Composer then? Well, you start with your SolidWorks CAD or any CAD platform, take it into Composer, and you use Composer to create that content that then gets put into these products. So you use Composer to create the content that goes into InDesign or Adobe Illustrator or Word or things you publish to the web. And ultimately by doing that, having Composer help you connect those dots, you're starting to get a little bit better feedback from your customers or your employees, people in your shop floor, people in marketing or sales. So why Composer? Why is it useful? Why is it used in industry? Why is it such a powerful tool? Well, I look at it like this. It's a tool that brings everybody together at the same time spreading everything out throughout the enterprise. So what I have pictured there is your 3D model. I'm telling you, he sabotaged this computer on me. So this is your CAD model that I pictured. It's this gold nugget. It's this very valuable piece of content that belongs to your company. And Composer allows you to leverage that throughout your entire enterprise. So everything from engineering, marketing, to sales, to manufacturing, all these executives, even customers, can leverage the power of Composer throughout their enterprise by using it to leverage this gold nugget or your CAD model. Okay, so just a quick intro to what Composer is. I'm going to switch over to here and introduce Composer from a technical aspect, all right? So here's my Composer interface. Basically, import your CAD model. Now, Composer is great with dealing with all types of CAD packages. You should see the laundry list of DLLs that get installed with it to be able to handle CATIA files and all kinds of other files. So it's great for any type of CAD format. You have your design space here in the center, sort of like SolidWorks. On the left-hand side, you have this tab called Views. So this is basically like a snapshot of the work that you're doing inside of Composer. So it's more like a storyboard, capturing the work that you do in your design space. So as I go through and change anything around, create these views, exploded views, bills of material, annotate it with measuring, cutting planes, markups, I capture what I do in views. So here I have a couple that I started. I have this parts list that I made, and I can capture that as a view. And then I started to go through this where I was working on this manufacturing instruction or this safety service procedure where I sort of outlined the steps to work on this piping skid. Right, so obviously he has to turn off the power, then he comes over here. Right? And if you notice all these steps, I'm telling this story, but I'm not using words to tell the story. Right? This is all using numbers down on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, to show what step it is. It's using all these symbols, like the electric shock warning or this wear safety glasses warning. But I can go back to any of these views that I create. So I'm going to show you how I created those views that I just showed you. So this first one, this is one I wanted to create to be a cover image for my work instructions or for a marketing piece. So I use Composer to create that. I start with my CAD model. I come in here, I can pan, zoom, rotate. Say I wanted to capture a close-up view of this box down here. I just do that by clicking the Create View button. So I click that, and I can keep working. I can say, all right, I want to zoom out, and I want to change some of these rendering styles that I have. Right? I don't like the way this looks now. Maybe I want to change the background, and it's controlled basically just by properties. Every single thing in Composer has properties, whether it's a CAD geometry, whether it's an arrow, whether it's a callout, or whether it's something like the background. If I want to change from this blue background to, say, a yellow background, or a green background, or a red background, simply click on it and then go down to the properties and choose the color that you want to work with. So I come in here and I can experiment with this, so I can keep capturing all these views as I go through here. So let's say it's gray. I think I might like that, but I want to do it without this ground in there. So I can come in here to the rendering tab, turn off the ground effects, turn off some things like per pixel lighting or ambient occlusion. If I wanted to, I can do things like depth of field, make certain things be in focus or out of focus by just turning it on and setting the focal point of it. And as I go through any of this work, if I want to capture it, I capture it by taking a snapshot or creating a view. And like I said, I can go back to any of these other views that I've created. So here's my yellow, here's my gray. Here's the original one that I created. And if I want to go in and I say, I want to change one of these rendering modes from, say, smooth or smooth with outline, similar to the display styles that you have in SolidWorks. So other ones that you don't have in SolidWorks that are in here by default with Composer, you have things like shaded illustration with color. I really like that one. Maybe I want to tilt my camera angle up a little bit, and I'll take that as a snapshot, and I'll make that be my cover image. So then some other things that I might want to do with this is try to make it more of a technical drawing, like a more cartoony look, like flat technical, something like this, with a white background. And then I can come in here and grab my author tab, and from this I'll grab this tool here where I can take measurements. So I'm utilizing my CAD geometry to take measurements and annotate my 3D geometry here. So it's not like I'm drawing a circle like in PowerPoint or Snagit or Adobe. I'm actually clicking on my CAD geometry and it knows the size of it. So there's a diameter. I can do something like a length, like how tall is this? Okay, so you can see the power here, how you can leverage that content that you create, what I call that gold nugget for the 3D content. And the button to save your views or save the work that you've done is just the create view. So far, do you guys have any questions? It's all stuff you guys know? Every single person in here? Composer experts? All right. So if I wanted to, I could start to dig down into my assembly. So I know here I have this, what's called a selection set. And this is basically just a grouping of components. It's a way to select multiple components and go back to them. So I have this one here called parts list. So I can go into my selection sets, choose those parts, and I can do things like, I want to show this and then ghost everything out, ghost everything else, or I can show it and hide everything else. So now I'm just focusing on this right here, and I'm going to create a parts list of this. I'm going to explode it, add some arrows, and I'm going to add a bill of material to it. So just grab these two components here, and I can click on the translate command to just pull them up. Or I can leverage the actual explode command, where I can click on multiple components, drag them out. Okay? And it's very easy to add things like explode lines. So I can come in here and I can go to author and I can do a path to show where that came from. Or I can just draw an arrow. So I'm not like just drawing random arrows wherever I want them. I want this to be lined up with the axis of those pipes. So like I said, leveraging this CAD content, if I come in here, it actually snaps to my circular geometry. It knows that there's an axis in this circular geometry. By clicking on that and snapping on it, I'm actually going on that axis of my pipes. And I have a lot of control of the properties of this. Like I said, you can change the color of the background or any other geometry if you want. Can you guys hear me all right? Is there something wrong with the mic? No? Okay. So do you have a mic in your hand? Yeah. What? Okay, sorry. Now the guy came in here earlier asking if there was problems with it, and so it kind of got me a little concerned. But like I said, you have properties of these arrows, of your geometry, of things like the background. Everything has properties, and it's all controlled down here in the properties window. So I have a lot of control of things like the shape of this arrow. I can get really creative and kind of just morph this around. What was that? Yep, you can do whatever you want, whatever color you want. Let's make it yellow. All right, but notice how it's kind of right on top of my geometry. So I have this checkbox here for stay on top. By unchecking that, it makes it actually go through my geometry, so it's knowing what's in front of what, and it's placing geometry in front of the actual actor. So I think that looks pretty good. Obviously, I think the arrow kind of looks ridiculous, but if you guys are happy with it, so am I. There we go. How about that? Looks good, right? So then what else can I do with this? Well, first I'm going to save my work so that I capture what I'm doing here in this design space. And then from there I can go through and create a bill of material, right? That was my goal here for this step. So I go to my workshops, launch the bill of material workshop, and start choosing the geometry that I want to add to my bill of material. So I want to say, let's add this pipe. Let's add those 4 components there. And I can generate BOM IDs, come in here to toggle it on or off, and then I can come in and have control over the ordering of these columns. I can add certain data to it. I can pull any of the metadata out of my SOLIDWORKS part file that I'm adding in there. So this whole concept of leveraging this CAD content, you're not recreating these efforts. You're not duplicating efforts. It's a very efficient way to work throughout your enterprise. So, yes?
You were picking the assembly. Can you control if you're picking the subassembly versus the part of the subassembly?
Yes. I was just clicking parts, but there's a mode here, right here, where you can choose the assembly itself, and it'll pick everything below it. That's a portion of its subassembly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So by having that on or toggling that on or off controls exactly what you're asking for.
Can you make revisions to that POF?
Yes. Like what would you like to make?
Like say the description isn't
mm-hmm.
the way you want it. You can go and change
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
description.
Well, I mean, that's reading metadata. You can make a column where you type in whatever you want if you want to make a description on the fly.
Use step files,
mm-hmm.
and they don't necessarily come across with that stuff.
Right.
Right now where we're at. So.
Yeah. Can you prevent that?
Properties. Not making your own column, but with a column that has a property showing property.
I mean, okay, so long story short, the software is based on the idea that you guys have intelligent people working there, that you can just say don't change it. So can't really lock it down because right there, while it's saying description, it's reading what's in the metadata of the file, what's associated to the file.
Right.
So
if you click in the cell, can you edit there?
no. Okay, I didn't know what you meant by that. Sorry. So it's just I mean, those are good questions. Anyone else have any questions? Yes?
Is there some way to reference which part of the bill of material is shown on the picture?
Oh, you mean like a call out?
Here, number.
Yeah, call outs would be that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? All right, so here are the 4 components that I had for the bill of material. Here's my callouts, just toggle them on or off. And you can also add your own callouts too if you wanted to. So say I didn't want to do that, I wanted to hide those. You can also add your own callouts too if you wanted to. So here in the author tab I have my callouts, and I can just click on these here. So there's part 1, here's part 2. So you can do a lot of things with this. Keep it like that. So in SolidWorks, in our drawings, you guys use magnetic lines? You guys a fan of that functionality that got added in 2012? Yeah? All right. You know they stole it from Composer, right? So I love pointing that out. So magnetic lines just kind of snap to all the geometry, or the actual callouts, the annotations, to help keep this neat, professional, and organized. So does anybody have any more questions on this? I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint again. No more questions.
Why are there some that, like that one, doesn't have anything in it, pointing nowhere?
That's because I had it set to something in the workshop, one of the options where I didn't have it set to only selection. It was all visible components. So the BOM table got made for the components I had selected, but the callouts got added to everything visible. So that's the reason for that. It's pointing to that actual portion of the vertical pipe, like the head of the vertical pipe. So it's pointing to where that used to be. So that was just me doing something in the callouts. All right. So Composer is bringing everything together. It's enhancing your product communication, marketing, collateral. By changing the workflow, which I'll show you guys a little bit later, it helps you get products to market faster. But one of the best things about it is what I call the 1% factor. So it allows you to win more business, sell more product, be more profitable, be a better company because of the 1% factor. And the 1% factor is something that I like to talk about, how the difference that 1% can make, right? So this is from the Beijing Olympics in 2008. You see the events on the left-hand side, the first column? Yeah, left-hand side. And you see the actual place, 4th place. If the person in 4th place did 1% better, you see what the result would have been. And a majority of the time, it would have been gold medal. So the difference between not placing at all and winning a gold medal was 1%. So that's just kind of like an analogy I like to make for how something like 1% can make a huge impact in your life professionally or personally, or your work, your company. So, what do you guys think about that? Anybody want to clap? Can I get a round of applause? All right. So what I was showing you in those work instructions, I sort of like alluded to something I'm going to show a little bit later, is how you can do these service instructions, these assembly instructions, without using text. So you're conveying the message a little bit better while also using less to convey that message. So that's something we're all familiar with. This nonsense that you see on my screen here, this looks like I took it in paint and just kind of painted all over it. Well, this is on the left-hand side, SolidWorks 1995, and SolidWorks 2012 on the right. And it's actually tracking the mouse movement to create that exact same part. So you see how much more efficient you are in SolidWorks 2012 than you were to SolidWorks 1995. The only point here is that's something that we're already familiar with, and it's a concept that we've already adopted with SolidWorks. So it should be a concept that we apply to our assembly instructions or technical documentation by using Composer. So we're using less words to convey these messages, but we're giving them more detail by using pictures and helper actors, right? Getting less confusion, getting more clarity as a result by applying this concept with Composer. So, let's talk about some of these things you can, the messages that you can convey, and what I mean by doing it a little bit better with less, right? I'm going to show you guys some of the interactive content that we can do with Composer. So that's the point of this section here. So I have this bill of material that I made, and this one doesn't have that random callout. So we have this here, and Composer is great for interactive content, and I'm going to show you two examples of it. One is going to be an interactive bill of material, and another one is going to be more of an interactive sales presentation. So if I come in here and I say, I want to do technical illustration of this, and I want to include color regions, and then save this, and I preview it. So, nice. Sweet. Should do it on that one. All right, my fault. Anybody on Windows 8 yet? No? Oh, come on, I love it. I'm joking. They said it was better? Yeah, I do like it.
8.1.
I'm on 8.1, yeah.
Is that pure remote?
Huh? Yeah, something like that. They added a little bit more functionality for where it's more usable on a desktop or like a laptop, like a professional work environment. I don't have the plugin installed for the SVG viewer on Internet Explorer for some reason on this partition. Try this here one more way. There we go. Okay, so this is what I was trying to show you. I'm sorry about that. One thing that does get messed up with Windows 8 is if you make Chrome your default browser, it screws up everything. So kind of forced to use Internet Explorer. Anyway, this is that bill of material that I exported out. So if you look at it, you actually see that this is what was done in Composer, and I didn't do anything extra to it, but it's an interactive bill of material in that I hover over any of these items here in the bill of material table. It's going to highlight what item I'm on in the actual design space or on my screen. And if you wanted to, you could make these hyperlinks to take them to anywhere. So we see a lot of people, a lot of customers that put on their website their entire product portfolio or all their assembly, and they can keep digging down into the sub-assemblies and get linked to everything else. And they can order replacement parts right from an interface like this from their web browser. So as I hover over it in the bill of material table, it's going to highlight up here in the design space. And as I hover over the part or actual geometry, it's going to highlight in the bill of material table. So I'll leave this up because the gentleman's taking a picture of it. You're welcome. So what do you guys think about that? Yeah? It's the third day. It's the afternoon of the third day. And what, you guys are kind of a little tired? Too much SolidWorks build? Yes? Okay. Yes, sir.
This is not a 3D component anymore. You can't rotate that.
No, it's the way I exported it. I mean, you can embed that if you wanted to using Composer. This is just the method that I chose to do this for this instance right now. But it's not like you're limited to only doing that. Okay? So that's...
If you wanted to put something like that into a manual and then put it online.
Yeah, it would need to be online. You can't print it out, obviously.
Right, yeah. But I mean, if it was a PDF, it wouldn't hold those either.
No, it would.
It would?
Yeah, you just have to embed it, but it uses the ActiveX to embed that into Word documents, into PowerPoint, into PDFs.
Okay.
Yep.
And a Composer Play.
Yes, you can do that too. So the Composer Player is another option. That's kind of like what I'm going to show you guys right now. So I said the next thing I was going to show you when it comes to this interactive content is more along the lines of a sales presentation. So I'm going to show you my car. This is actually a model of my car here. Here we go, the Audi R8. It's a joke. I drive a minivan. It's also a joke. Sorry. So this is what this looks like, and like I said, you can change the properties of any of these components by just clicking on them, selecting them, and going down to the properties. So if I want to make this be a red car, right, I can choose this, and it's just that easy to start to add color to these body panels. So I used selection sets last time. I'm going to use them again here. I select all the body panels that I have, and I can add it like that. Then I can have a chrome effect to make these wheels be a little bit shiny. There we go, it's looking nice already. And I think one of my favorite things about this, sorry, that's not my favorite thing. There we go. Is if you look in here, you guys will see the windows are colored gray. By just choosing them and adding this environment to it, it actually takes on the effect of it being glass or plastic based on the environment and the lighting that's all around it. So you can start to use this as a photo studio for your 3D CAD model, and that's what we see a lot of people doing with it. People are adding textures to it. So here, my car is made of carbon fiber. So if I want to add carbon fiber to that, I can do that. So I'm going to add it to this surface here. I'm going to use a texture to do that. So by just toggling it on to show and choosing the image that I want to have mapped to it, I can add this carbon fiber to the panel. So I can keep going on here and creating my car. This is what it really looks like. Just like that. There you go. My nice German license plate, everything, all the effects, all the interior. All right, everything in there. But what I wanted to show you guys was an interactive sort of sales presentation. What if someone wanted to play around with this car and see it in all those different colors? How would you do that? So it's a technique called smart views or custom views, where you go in and you basically choose properties of only a select number of actors and you define a view based on just that. And it doesn't adjust, like here, I'm going from this view to then this view, and it's changing all of the properties of everything that's associated with that view. What an intelligent view is basically just a view that changes properties of certain actors. So here, in this particular case, what I want to do is change the color of the body panels. So I come in here and select the body panels, and let's start with gray. I want to make these gray. Okay? So now it's gray, and rather than coming up here and choosing Create New View, if I go into my Views workshop, I can come in here and choose just to create a view based on what I have selected. Okay? So apply to the actors that I have selected, and choose a custom property. It could be a location, so I could have someone pressing a button and the doors open, or the windows close, or the hood opens, or the car just drives off. All right, let's go with selected property, like color. Okay? Those actors, I want to save only the color. So I hit Create. Okay? Now I can do that again to create a white one. Click Create. A yellow one. Create, and then a blue one. All these views here that I'm just creating like that. Okay? So let's make it interactive. To do that, this is just a rectangle that I have here, and I'm going to turn it into a button. So to do that, I can go into my views. Here's all my views that I have. And by holding down the Control key and dragging, I'm actually going to create a link. You see my mouse just changed to the plus sign. So now I'm going to turn that into a blue button. Here's my yellow, white, gray, and then we have red. Oh, I didn't make a red one yet. How many people have ever seen this before, doing these custom views? Nobody? Cool. So this gentleman up here had mentioned that there is a thing called the Composer Player. So what I'm going to do is basically turn on the functionality that exists in the Composer Player. It's a way to share your Composer files, but have a lot of the functionality that isn't taken away from it when it's played in something like PDF or PowerPoint or Word. Okay? So to get to that, I just basically take it out of design mode, which would be this button down here. And by selecting that, I'm now going to turn these buttons into actual buttons that'll have an action associated to them. So if I want to see what this blue one looks like, I basically just click the button, click the yellow one, white, gray, red. These buttons can be anything, right? I can show how to put something together by clicking the buttons, and then I can make it be a next button. So next, 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 or step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a great way to make interactive content. So the bill of material you saw, this would be something like a sales or marketing presentation, or you can make it be assembly instructions or service instructions. Okay? So what do you guys think about that? You want to add it? You can do that the same exact way I did it. I would just, I'm going to copy and paste the box and change it to black. And I mean, do you want to see what it looks like in black? Is that what you're saying? All right. All right, all right, all right. We can do that. Copy paste. Here's my collaborative actors. Where is it? All right, how about I just change this red one to a black one? It's going to be black. Fine. All right. So I come in here and choose my body panels again. Go to my views workshop. Change the color there. Say when I choose only the color of it, click create. Okay. So yellow, black. Oh, that's red. Why is it red? Anybody see what I didn't do? I didn't make it a button. All right, there we go. Yellow, black. That's red. Again. Didn't I outline the rules? I was really, really strict about that, wasn't I? How you're only supposed to ask questions I know the answer to? That was right? I did say that. You guys all heard me.
Accumulating links. Are there now 8 links in there?
No, it should be just one. So I don't know what I was doing. It's kind of, yeah, it's working now. It only took me three tries. Luckily, it's 3 strikes and you're out. Well, I nailed it. There you go. Would you buy that?
I would buy that.
Oh, see how this could be used for sales presentations? Show me in black. Okay, let's show them. There we go. So let me show you something that I love in Composer. It's the exploded views. You guys ready for this? Melt your face off. You ready? All right. So we go into Composer here. This is the next section here where I'm going to show you some of the greatest functionality of Composer. Here's the engine from my car. And if I come in here, select those components, and I go into Explode, I can pull them all out. What do you guys think about that, huh? Cool? Yeah? All right. 1 second. Back to this. So there's that question again. How cool is that? My favorite thing about that is the exploded views. You guys like that? No, seriously. No, I'm actually being really sarcastic. That's not that impressive. You guys, it's just an exploded view. All right. So show you the real power behind Composer is in the exploded views, but it's not just a linear exploded view. So when I said it was my car, I lied. This is the Bugatti Veyron engine. And let me turn this into white, the background. And the best thing about this is when I select all these components, just window select around them, and rather than doing a linear explode, I can do a spherical explode. Let me zoom out a little bit here. All right, so this is made out of, several thousands of parts, and I can take the entire thing apart. Yeah, right? There you go. Yeah, I get paid based on oohs and ahs, so there we go. So what do you guys think about that? It's cool, right?
So is that going to be an assembly instruction?
It could be. Here's everything you need. Right? Well, there's other things too here. I took this whole thing apart. Any names on these? And one thing I can leverage is this functionality called hotspots. So if I were to just collapse everything here to give myself more space, since the projector is kind of pirating my space here, I have all these components here and I can see how it gets taken apart. But I also have this functionality called hotspots, where it's like a virtual, basically a space showing me what's going on in a different sense. If I click on this here, it's highlighting every single component associated to the exhaust. Here, it's associating every component that's from the engine block. Yes?
Associated pattern, part of the solid sub-assemblies, or defined that way?
No, it's basically, it's like a dictatorship, and I told it to do that.
Take a vote.
Yeah. So I got a bunch more that I made up here. So these ones are highlighting in blue. This comes from the roller arm. I named that. So I didn't name these ones yet. Give it whatever name you want. You just want to convey the message to your customer or to your employee. So I can zoom in, move this all around. Okay? Here's the actual valves. Yes?
Did you select all the different parts and create something to call also?
But all that is basically just saying you choose your components, and then the button is right up here to make it a hotspot. So you just add a new hotspot after I select whatever components I want, like 1, 2, 3, these ones, and just say make hotspot, and now all of a sudden as I hover over it, it's going to highlight in whatever color I want it to, and it's going to do whatever tooltip I tell it to, whatever callout, to convey that message to my customer. All right? So, you guys like that, right? All right. So, there's one other thing that I want to talk about. It's this thing, we all heard the saying, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So now, with people using Composer, we've actually had this new question, what came first, the assembly or the assembly instructions? Because we actually see people who are creating assembly instructions way before the assembly is actually finalized. Okay? You guys didn't notice this, but in this engine here, there's actually a colleague that I work with who's very lazy. I made this entire assembly and all the documentation, but he's not done yet with the actual pistons. He had one job to do, and it was to design the pistons, and he didn't do it yet. So what I'm doing is using the minions from this movie here, right? It kind of looks like a piston, it resembles the shape of a piston. It allows me to do my job and create this content, whatever it might be. Use instructions, marketing, sales, doesn't matter. I'm allowed to work without having all of the components. This might as well have just been a block. I picked this because, well, it's a great movie, but it's also similar to the size of a piston. So, you like that, huh? So you like the close-up view too, huh? That's something interesting to show as well. So that's what we call a detail view. I click on this here, basically hover this around, move this around, get right up on him. Oops, it's going crazy. There we go. And say create. And this is a pretty big assembly, by the way. So creating detail view just like that. All right, so that's how I created that. I don't want you guys to think this is all smoke and mirrors. It's only mostly smoke and mirrors. Joking. All right. So as soon as I get the memo from him that he's finally done with his piston, I'm able to go through and make a change. But I've done most of my work here. So I have this animation that I've already done. Part of my job was to create an animation showcasing what the actual firing sequence was of this. So to show which piston and which cylinder is actually firing when. This is just highlighting them all in yellow there. Right, nothing too exciting there, but that was my job for the day. I had to make this animation. So I did that without actually having the cylinders in my hands, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I can do that. So when I actually get the memo, or actually receive the actual assembly, I can make this swap here. Right, so here I'm given the actual piston. Here's the final piston. And I can open it up and basically just place it in this assembly. Where it is, there it is, it's right there. Okay. Turn it on. So to make this change here, all I have to do is basically say geometry, replace. Replace that with that, and I can just go through and keep clicking around, and I can swap all of these cylinders out. And the only reason all these guys are highlighting still is because I have my hotspots turned on, and I'm running out of time. So as I go through and click these, they're all going to highlight, but the only reason is because, well, I'm just trying to get through all this content in the time that I have. So there we go. All I'm doing is swapping out the geometry. What does that do for my animation? Oh, I missed one. Nothing. It retains those properties that I set based on what was there before. Right? So I'm able to work without actually having it completed. So one other thing I can do is like in this here. This whole time I've had this Word document opened. This whole time I've been doing this presentation, standing up here. I had this set up. I was told I needed to make steps 1 through 6, a cover image and a bill of material. Well, I've done it, and marketing has also made the 2-page deliverable that's going to be sent out to the customer. So when I'm told that, you know, when marketing or whatever the workflow is for your company finds out that everything's ready to be put in there, they can just send everything out. So here I have my cover image, my bill of materials, and then steps 1 through 6 for this manual. And if I want to send these out as high-resolution images, I have this tab here called Multiple. By checking this box, it's going to save every single view that I've made, all those views that I made, as images, wherever I want to put them. So let's put them in this folder here. Okay, it's going to export all those out. Now, yes? Yes. I mean, you can. Do you want to do like transparency and stuff?
I just didn't know if you could edit in any form.
You can. Yeah.
SVG.
Yeah, SVG is a scalable vector graphic. That was the first thing I did. So now I have all those in there. I can click my update button because I was able to export all my content. Right? And there's all of my images. I have one more thing to show you guys. Just like the whole, waiting until the job's all done, right? That's great. But I guarantee you this has never happened to you, right? There's a last minute change, urgent, engineering change notice comes in, someone calls you 5 o'clock on a Sunday, Friday, work calls again, sends you more emails, this one's even more important than that, right? Oh, let's decline that. I'm assuming this has never happened. You get this change order where it says sales has been, they decided to be as inconvenient as possible, we need to change everything around. Great. Well, little do they know that it's not going to take any work at all to make any sort of change here with Composer. Because now, I went in there earlier and did the swap, right? The geometry swap. I can do a complete upgrade or update of my assembly itself by updating the entire Composer document. So before I do this, I want to make sure you guys see this here. This is the pump here. It has a vertical discharge spout, and I was told it needs to be replaced with a new horizontal one. So I don't need to do the geometry replace method. I can replace the entire document with an entirely new assembly. Okay? So here's the discharge spout, and it's going to go through, look at all the views, look at all the geometry, and swap everything out. Woo! And that too. Yeah. Really? Awesome. Well, it's a great way to end it in SolidWorks world.
We've never done that.
That's real world.
I don't know. I don't even know what the real world is. My pretend world's been working all right lately. All right, here we go. All right. So it's deciding to work now. Fine. Let's go back and export our images out. Multiple, saving all of our views out. All right. Here's my 2-page document that I'm going to be sending out to my customers. Click Update, and there's my images. All right. Just like that, I'm able to take an engineering change order or changes that come down the pipe in stride. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed the time here at SolidWorks World.
So when you updated that, you had to update
You're next.
everything in there? Or you just could not, you can just update one part?
I showed both methods. You can do both. What I did with this was everything, because that's what I wanted to do. What I did with the car engine was one piece of, yeah.
And there you just replace.
Yes. So that's called, on the Geometry tab, Replace, and then there's File, Update, Composer Document. Hold on, yes, in the red?
How often have you had hyperlinks break? Those are hyperlinks.
Hyperlinks break? That right there is just leveraging just Microsoft Office technology, just linking an image to a file. So where I'm saving it in a particular place, and I'm pointing Word to that bucket that I'm saving it into from Composer. No. Let's insert link to file. That's just straight Microsoft content. Because remember in the beginning, I started off by saying, this isn't Word, this isn't like Adobe, this is a product that's meant to create those things to go into. Right? It's a content creation tool specifically designed for engineering material.
How much? This used to cost about like 10 or 12,000. Is it like come down?
I know people that can give you a really good deal on it, but it has come down half of that now. So yeah. Yes?
If you're being like this, you're driving it with a SolidWorks assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some composer operator might have added a few things.
Yeah.
Can you segregate that and pinpoint, yes, this is all the assembly that's brought in, here's what's been added?
What do you mean by what do you mean a composer guy could add? Like he's not, you can draw stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Or he's...
Like you put in the work guide and this, and obviously you can add components to the SolidWorks assembly.
No, it's not to the SolidWorks assembly. That's separated. It's what I just did right there, that operation, it's a one-way street going from SolidWorks into Composer. It doesn't go back up into your SolidWorks.
Right, I understand
okay.
that.
So you're saying you want to force your employees to not add things.
Like the guy, the little figure.
Yeah.
He's a composer component?
Yep. So what this is, all that's done in SolidWorks is the skid itself. That wrench, that man that's in there, that's all there to help convey the message. We call them helper actors.
And can you, by selecting basically, just turn off everything that's related to the actual SolidWorks assembly and see what's left?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if some guy wants to fake the drawing.
Yeah. There's ways to figure out what's been added after the fact.
Yeah. We want to catch the guy who fakes the drawing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So there's ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's all in the tree structure. It's following the same sort of structure that's in the SolidWorks assembly file. You guys are still here. More questions? What can I do for you?
I got all, I mean, we're going to implement this for a lot of reasons, but mostly to do an assembly sequence.
Okay.
With Bob. And we want it to be fairly rigorous. So I don't know what you can add. I think it's a lot challenging a little bit.
What territory are you? Are you in Florida? Baltimore, Maryland, huh? Cool.
Trying to
Right.
They are, and we'll be talking to them about it.
Yeah, I mean, Composer is, you're talking about big assemblies, is that your? Yeah, Composer is amazing when it comes to large assemblies. That's what it's really great at. So really, there's nothing that you really need to watch out for. It's literally like working with every single SolidWorks file in large design review. It's only loading the visual assets, the visual data. So it's really, really lightweight. It's incredible, the things you can do with it. When you open it, you can spin around, you know. I've been playing around. I have a video side-by-side opening up an entire city. SolidWorks, it takes like 2 minutes, and Composer, it's less than 10 seconds. And that's 2 minutes opening it up in lightweight mode anyway, so then you got to resolve everything.
Right.
So honestly, that's not a concern. It's a SolidWorks concern, absolutely, but it's not a Composer concern.
Yeah, I'm sold on that, the lightweight and the versatility.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rigor that I'm worried about. That
What exactly?
our bill of materials
Yeah.
are going to drop something.
Oh, okay.
Or drop quantities.
Yeah,
Or,
that's something to watch. I've seen it. I mean, are you managing everything in EPDM? Or?
yes, but not.
Okay, well, you just gotta watch out to make sure that people aren't, you know, the same pitfalls that you gotta warn everybody about. Make sure they're not typing in DESC period or description underscore one. You know, that we see that a lot. People don't understand that, you know, someone in another department had done something like that to their data and added that as a file, as a metadata point. Yeah, as a property.
Okay, we got that.
Then I don't really think you'd have anything to worry about.
Okay.
I think you guys will be set. You excited to get it though?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Yes, sir.
Composer, I did like a trial
Mhm.
for the animating part seemed pretty very easy to use.
Yeah.
This stuff I found was way easier to do, you know, the graphical stuff, the animation was very difficult, I thought.
Yeah, it is difficult until you get the hang of it, but I don't think it's long. It doesn't take long to get the hang of it. There's two methods to create animations, just like the storyboards that I showed you in the views. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can just drag and drop, and it'll actually just transition to them. So that's an easy way to create an animation, but that doesn't always work for the message you're trying to convey. You just got to understand the workflow, like you set your initial time and then make the action and then set the final time. You have to just understand the workflow there. And it is a little difficult at first, but I mean, within like a day or two, once you kind of get it, it starts to become a little bit easier, and then that's the way you start to think when it comes to animations.
Since this came out, I think it's been like 2 years, roughly. Has there been any enhancements like SolidWorks does, or is it kind of the same?
No, it's not the same. There's a bunch of enhancements. They're all in the, if you want to look at them, just like SolidWorks has a what's new PDF, so does Composer. Just up here, the release notes. It has all the enhancements that are done, and it's published, and there are a bunch of enhancements that are done to it. So I think it came out a lot longer than 3 years ago, or 3D Via did it at least.
Maybe 5 or something. 5 years.
Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea. Do you know, Mark?
Yeah, it's been around about 12 years. It used to be Smaj.
Smaj. That's why it's an SMG file.
Yeah.
That's the company that made it. All right, guys.
Pretty much forum talk.
The forums are really popular with like the YouTube channel that SolidWorks has, and then there's Toddcasts, they're called. There's a lot of things. So go to Toddcast, go to 3dmojo.com. I think there's one 3dviacomposer.com. There's their own like dedicated forums because it used to be the 3D Via product. So obviously, you know, it's newly branded as a SolidWorks product. So now you'll start to see a little bit more penetration into those forums, but there are forums dedicated to it. Yep, Toddcast is great, and then 3D Mojo, and then I think just 3dviacomposer.com is the other one that I look at a lot. Help you out? Wonderful. All right, if you guys wouldn't mind writing down on these reviews that this was the best presentation ever, that'd be great.